Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. This is Motivated for More. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Brooke.
We're going to start off today with talking about what we usually do is what were we motivated from this past week. So this past week, I in particular was motivated from just creativity. We had Galentine's Day, and one of my friends, she's just super crafty. She made this really cutesy, crafty, her setup at her apartment. Great background, and it just inspired me just to be more crafty just with things in life and just use more creativity. So that's what was motivated from. How about you, Brooke?
So I am 22 weeks pregnant as of this week, and then it was I think it was a little more like 2 weeks ago, but I started to feel baby girl Kogan move around.
My gosh.
And at first I thought it was I was psyching myself out. I was like, no, that's probably just I just had a burger for dinner or something like that. And then each week as, she gets bigger, I can feel it more and more. And so this past week I've been feeling her a lot, which has just been such a cool, surreal experience. And so I don't know, it's just been motivating me because when you first get pregnant, you're pregnant for 9 months, and a lot of it, it just doesn't really feel real if that makes any sense. And so anyway, as I'm past the halfway mark, and trying to really get motivated for being ready to be a mom and stuff, feeling her inside me has been such a cool, an inspiring thing that helps me be more motivated to look up birthing classes and all the things, or finish the baby registry. And it's just been so fun in general.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for you.
I know, it's been but it's also been kind of crazy. It's just the weirdest sensation. It's the coolest thing ever. It's literally my favorite part of the day is when I feel her kicking and stuff. But it's also that's so weird. It's just weird.
Yes.
Because it's, this is my first
you have a
pregnancy,
human
so
in you.
Yes. And it's just so, I don't know. It's weird, but it's such a blessing at the same time.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So.
I'm so excited. It's so fun for me to watch my friends go through this. I'm so excited for you and Danny to become parents. So
yeah, we're excited. Very excited.
Well, let's catch up. So it's been about a little bit since we've hung out.
Yeah.
So what's been going on? You were places, I was places. I was texting you about something and I was like, oh my gosh, you're in Disney. So what have you been up to? And how was your Disney trip?
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. But okay, so we went to Orlando for one of my husband's cousin's weddings. And the wedding was so fun and it was so gorgeous. And we were like, oh, if we're already going to Orlando, let's make a little mini trip out of it. So and it was with his family too. So we went to Epcot for one day. And then we went to Universal Studios as well for a day. It was so fun. But the only downside was the week we went was the week where Florida had that those record-breaking days of Pensacola getting snow and stuff like that. So it was just a little unfortunate because we've had a lot of snow in St. Louis, but so I was so looking forward to going to Florida and it being warm.
Yeah.
Well, when we were at Epcot, it was 45 degrees and raining.
Oh my gosh.
And part of me almost, I guess I wouldn't have wanted it to be snow because then my guess is
that's what it is right now in St. Louis.
No, I know.
Sorry.
And I'm like, what? But so it almost would have been better if it was snowing when we were in Florida, honestly. But then I don't know if they would have, I feel like they would have closed the parks because they're not built for that, you know? So it was super, super fun. I still had fun because I'm a huge Disney freak. And then Universal, we had a little bit better of weather for that. And then have you ever had butterbeer?
No, but I hear about it.
Oh my gosh.
My friends have tried to make homemade of it. What exactly is it?
So I actually don't know what it is, but I can tell you what it tastes like. So a lot of people will say it's very butterscotchy. To me, there's 3 different forms it comes in. So you can get it hot, you can get it cold, and you can get it frozen. When we got it hot, because it was a little cooler when we were there, it tastes like drinking a Rice Krispie treat.
Wow. Okay.
And it sounds like, oh my gosh, that's kind of too sweet. No, it was so good. It's not too, it's very, very sweet, but it's not at a disgusting amount of sweet. Because my husband does not have a huge sweet tooth, and he loved it. So, and they have on all 3 of them, there's this marshmallowy, almost cold foam kind of thing on top. Oh my gosh, it was It's so good.
That sounds great.
Yeah, when I was pregnant, so I couldn't go on any of the rides at Universal.
I was going to ask you that, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to I was going to wait for you to share. So you can't go on rides when you're pregnant?
So it depends on what type of rides. The rides that we were mainly going on at Universal were like all the cool Harry Potter ones. So those are more really anything that has like dips, quick turns, sudden drops, I can't go on.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, this is how good butterbeer is. I basically went one to be with, my in-laws, like, because it was a family thing. I pretty much paid like $180 ticket just to walk through what's the Diagon Alley? I don't know, whatever the Harry Potter world places are, and get butterbeer. That's how good the butterbeer is. I was
So
like, it's worth it.
Did
for me
it
to
come
go.
with butter? You have to pay for the butterbeer.
You have
in
to pay
addition.
for
How
it,
much
yeah,
is it?
yeah.
I'm curious.
I think it was like $10. It's
Okay,
pretty
that's
expensive.
not bad. Like when I think
Well,
Disney, I
fair.
think a lot more expensive. So
Yeah.
and I've never been to Disney.
Yeah. Well,
So-
and Universal is not part of Disney, so that's like totally
Oh,
separate.
Yes.
Disney though actually had more rides that I could go on because they have a lot of rides where like you just get in this boat and then you go around, or it's like they have a Ratatouille ride where you like get in like it's like this little like mouse basically like cart, and then so like that's fine because it's not really a roller coaster. So at Epcot I could go on some rides, but I couldn't go on. My favorite ride is they have this Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Have you seen those movies at all? Oh.
Well, yes, I've
Oh,
seen
you've seen
Guardians.
it? Okay,
yes,
okay.
yes.
So they have this Guardians of the Galaxy ride that is actually insane, and it's probably one of the best rides I've ever been on, and I couldn't go on it. So it was like low-key killing me, but I'll just have to go back,
Yeah, you will, and you'll have to take Maggie with you.
I know. So that'll be fun. She probably won't be going on the roller coasters for a while, but it'll be cute to take
You
a
are
kid
gonna
to
take
Disney
such
and,
a. You're gonna have to get her those like the,
The mini
mini
ears?
ears.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
and then take a picture of her with Minnie Mouse. Yeah, no, for sure.
it'll be fun for you guys.
Yeah.
What to look forward to.
So that was fun, and that was like one of our last kind of big trips before baby Maggie comes. So it was just kind of fun to especially doing amusement park stuff like that. It was kind of fun for me to be a kid for a day, so to
Mhm.
speak, before I become a mom,
Yeah.
which was crazy. So
I'm so excited for you.
yeah, okay, but you went to Cabo, so tell us all about that.
Yes. Well, I was in Chicago originally.
Oh, that's right.
Because we have I had a work conference. It was it was a year-end ceremony, and then it was a work conference. And then after that, the next day, that's like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get up and we fly directly to Cabo.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
And I've been to this resort a couple times with the company, and I was really much looking forward to it. But I was looking forward to it. I went in with intention, being you know what, I'm going to make sure I get enough sleep because I love my colleagues and I can talk, Brooke.
Do you guys
Until
just stay
2
up?
yes,
for sure.
late nights. And I was but then you come home and I'm I need another vacation.
Yeah.
So I was I'm going to need to come back refreshed.
Yeah.
So I committed to that where I was okay, let's get up earlier in the day, have more intentional conversations. But also, I'm now 26. I don't need to go out with the clubs, to the clubs late at night with all the kids and stuff like that. And I know some people did, and I love it for them. But for me, I was nope, not this year. We're just gonna reset this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to bed 1 a.m. pretty much every night.
So kind of late.
Yes, which is late, but it wasn't 2 a.m. and it wasn't, and it was I was just refreshed every day.
That's
but
awesome.
actually, I was afraid of the cold too. My mom was Lindsay, what if you get snow? And I was Mexico, the desert, get snow, what? And I looked at the weather right before, and I was 60s. I was 60s, which 60s
Wow.
is warmer compared to, I want to say it was
Still
20
compared
degrees.
to St. Louis, and if you were in Chicago,
It was cold in
so,
Chicago.
yeah.
I froze.
I'm sure.
But I packed layers with me because I was nervous, but it ended up being great. The weather was great.
Mhm.
I wore a romper one night, and I was cold, but they had heaters where we were at. During the day, we spent some time in the hot tubs, but then the pool was warm enough, I guess, from the sun.
Okay.
So it was great, and overall, compared to the weather, I was in a swimsuit, tank top, gym shorts.
That's so fun.
So it was great. It was a wonderful vacation. I love the people I work with, catching up with them. And then I came back and got right to work, but still had a restful week. So it was a great trip.
That's so lovely.
Yes.
Nice.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very blessed. I look forward to the trip every year though. So yeah.
So fun.
Oh yeah. Nothing too crazy went on. Not different rides or stuff like that. Sand volleyball. I did jam my finger playing volleyball,
Oh,
and I literally
no.
thought I was done, but no, it healed. So we're
I'm just
good to
impressed
go.
you're playing sand volleyball. That's hard. I am
So-
not good at sand volleyball at all. But I just can't do it.
I've had to previously avoid it just because of concussions and stuff like that. Now
Oh,
I'm just
right.
very cautious.
Mm. Because
like,
people expect you to dive when you play that.
yes. And like, it's been like, for me, like 3 years now. It's been 3 years post-concussion.
Oh, wow. So that's actually really good for
Yes,
you. Oh,
yes.
my gosh.
So,
Have you shared with people, listeners, how many concussions you've had? You might need to give a quick
I've had
backstory
5
for that.
concussions. I won't go into all the stories, I guess, for this episode,
even
but they're
just
all
the
like
fact that you've had 5.
interesting stories.
We'll have to do
Unfortunate
an
things.
episode on that,
Yeah.
honestly.
But like it's for sure been a challenge. Like I've had a couple migraines this week, but like it goes in and out. But overall, I was excited that I was able to play volleyball because previously I had just avoided it just because I just was not risking it. But like it's not that hard to like put your hands out, like bump and stuff like that. And you've got team members. But like I walked the beach. I had great food, Brooke. They had these like incredible shrimp tacos. I look for them every year.
I was going to ask you what was the best meal.
These shrimp tacos that I had for lunch, they were great. I also had we went to this like restaurant that was like off campus. And let me talk about this restaurant real quick. So I went to this restaurant 2 years ago, I want to say.
Because wait, so do you guys go to the same resort every single year, or just like the same area that you would end up at the same restaurant?
We've actually done the same resort 3 times.
Okay.
We went there my first year, different resort second year, same resort the past 2 years.
Okay.
The company just calls
So it must be a really good
It
resort.
is. We love it. It's very like, we love the beach. We love the place. We love like, I love the layout of it. We like the food. But my manager likes to take us off campus, like to this one restaurant. And the first time we went, Brooke, when you think of like a rough ride in Mexico and an Uber, really, 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 really rough, like potholes, like think you might get kidnapped. Like think about the things you see. Like that was my first experience 2 years ago, like going to this restaurant off campus. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what people are talking about. Like in Mexico, like I'm like, because it was off the resort. So I was like, and it was like way out there. It was a 45-minute drive out there.
Oh, that's far.
So like, but it had like really good reviews. We pull up and like this restaurant's beautiful. Like I took pictures of it. But the pictures don't even justify it. But it's like this, like it's a garden, it's like a farm they have out there. You go up these steps and like they do something with the food where it's very like homegrown, healthy, good for you. So we had a variety of like meats, like seafood, scallops, shrimp. I loved that meal. I had that my first night there. This time around though, that was different, was the resort actually was like, oh, we can drive you. So we canceled our Ubers and they drove us. The path, not sketch whatsoever. Oh. Not sketch. And I was like,
did it still take 45 minutes though?
It still took 45 minutes, but I was like, I prepared I was on my drive there 2 years ago in the Uber. I was like, Jesus, please protect us. Jesus, please help us. Please help us. And like, and I was also like with some of my colleagues who are men who were like, yes, the ride is sketch. So it's not just me who's thinking about it, like, they agreed. And like, people are like, yeah, it's a sketch ride. Being with like, I guess the people just know, I guess the Uber app took them through a different way, or it's been 2 years since I've taken the place. Maybe maybe developed more. There were like a couple of potholes, but like also the locals, they know how to like navigate the potholes. So like the guy who was driving the van for the resort, like took us there. It was safer, but like either way, I loved that meal. And every lunch I always get shrimp tacos. Oh, but they also have these like local, like, it's kind of like a smoothie, more like a fruit drink on campus, like for breakfast, and it like overlooks the beach. I had that both mornings. So I love the food. I love the food. I love the people. I love the location. So
you're already probably excited for next year.
I am. I am. It's just great that we go in January. Yeah. So like one time I got snowed in my first year going, and I literally got an extra day in Cabo because St. Louis shut down. Like you couldn't come home to St. Louis. So yeah. But anyways, outside of our trips, what else have you been up to, Brooke?
So I have my own like women's ministry called High Lovely. So I call it like my side hustle from teaching, and I guess podcasting is now my other side hustle. But through High Lovely, I like to teach or I host classes for 5th and 6th grade girls at some of the local schools in the St. Louis area. And so I just wrapped up, it was the second one I've done at a local school. And that was just so fun to like spend time with 5th and 6th grade girls. And we just talk about a lot of just really focusing on God's truth as opposed to the world's truth. And the title of the class is called Discovering Who You Are in Christ. And it's just so, I think they get a lot out of it, but it's also just really refreshing for me to just pour into their lives. So yeah, that was kind of another thing that I did between January and February. That was just very, it was fun and also fulfilling. So.
Yeah. I love that you're doing that. I think there's so much good that you bring to the world with it. And I feel like there's so much good in the world too, amongst like a lot of the craziness, but also for people, for young kids to also know like who they're worth, like your worth is in no one. Like it goes down to you and your relationship with Christ and no one else.
Totally.
And I think as people get older, especially like middle school, I don't completely remember it for me, but like I have cousins, I have people who are just younger than me, and I just feel like it's easy to like almost like lose yourself too. So
Totally.
having that like background or lessons or what you teach them, I just could be just so impactful for them. And like they could remember it. They might not remember it tomorrow, but they could remember it like 3 years from now, and that'll make a huge impact too.
Which, that would be great if they did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, they could remember it tomorrow too, but like
Yeah.
even the people like just like how it could like just shape what middle school is going to be like for them, what high school is going to be like for them too.
Yeah.
So
because I just feel like in this day and age, like 5th and 6th grade is like, it's a pivotal age because I just feel like, you know, there's 6th graders that I see in Sephora that look older than me sometimes, you know. I mean, I'm short, so that's partially why. But so I don't know. I used to really, part of my ministry is obviously still I have a huge heart for high schoolers because I'm a high school teacher. But as I started, you know, really trying to grow my ministry with high schoolers, I almost noticed that I'm almost kind of saying this message too late. Not too late. They like high schoolers still totally need to hear all the same messages and truth about Christ and their worth in Christ. But I started the class because I was like, I feel like they need to hear it even earlier than freshman year. You know, like because nowadays 6th graders are getting phones. You know, I feel like almost the minute you get a phone or social media, you need to be feeding yourself extra truth because the world's truth that's not truth is just going to start attacking you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, for me, I love being involved in youth group and like being like a mentor to it because I love like influencing the high schoolers and I'm like writing this message to give tomorrow. But I always think about, we always tie it back to the Bible. I don't honestly have it written yet, so I don't know all my details I'm giving. But my previous messages have been about pretty much how they can apply what they've got going on in their life right now to Christ or just giving them resources and other ideas. And I love influencing them. But the fact that you're able to influence just different people and different groups of people is so awesome.
It's been fun.
And they have someone like you.
It's been a blessing to have that opportunity. So I'm excited to see how God uses that class in the future. So. So, okay, so let's jump in. So today we're kind of just catching up, but we also wanted to, part of our catch up kind of just naturally leads into us talking about how we can kind of plan all the stuff we're doing, especially with like you traveling so much. So, we just kind of want to talk about how we could balance and plan like jobs, but also like the side hustles we have or just things that, you know, your work involves a lot of traveling and that's part of your job, but that's almost, you know, in addition to your 9 to 5 or whatever. So, do you want to take it away first on that front?
So for me, I have a lot going on with like my work involves a lot of planning because I'm a manager. So like I plan for my tasks and other people's tasks and future tasks that don't even exist yet.
So much planning. Oh my God.
And it is. And I like it because it just helps me to also know I can accomplish more because there's a lot I want to do in the world because I'll get into that in a hot second. But I'm planning also for the summer. Summer's like a busy season for us. So I'm planning for like what people's roles will be this summer, what I'm doing this summer, and like numbers and breaking that down. So I'm doing that planning. At the same time, I'm planning, okay, what's going to happen this week and next week and the following week. I'm also leaving town. So what's going to happen while I'm out of town? And then amongst that, there's also like my priorities are just getting back to my goals that I talked about a couple episodes ago, like making sure I have it planned in to make sure I'm going to like Orange Theory. I picked up True Fusion too.
Oh, fun. Oh my gosh. I love True Fusion.
I'm doing that.
To do that.
Right now, I'm doing like a class like a week right now.
Okay.
But putting that in the schedule as well as there's baby showers and wedding showers.
And there's only 24 hours in a day.
Literally. So, and there's errands to run or just people I'm helping out or people I want to spend time with or just reading or habits or just friends. And there's been the Super Bowl and Valentine's Day, which I didn't do anything for Valentine's Day for myself, but like Galentine's Day. But like there's been so many things. So for me, I've just been doing a lot of planning in regards to that. And then also when it comes to planning for trips, I plan out where am I going? What do I need to bring? So, for example, this past trip to Mexico and work, it was in Chicago for a couple days. But Chicago weather, like we talked about, was 20 degrees. Cabo was 60, 70, 80 degrees. I think it hit 80 one day. So complete opposite wardrobe right there.
Yeah.
For my upcoming trips, I've got weddings. And for a wedding, the one I've got coming up to Kansas City, I'll have a dress, and then I'm wearing something the first night, and I'll have like I'll pack a workout outfit though, and like clothes to hang around in, and like airport outfits. So I'll plan that, and then at the same time I'm going to Georgia, the country, as well as Budapest.
Oh my gosh,
And
I'm so jealous.
I'm very, very excited. But there's a wedding in Budapest, or excuse me, not Budapest, Georgia. So I'll pack for a dress.
Yeah.
And I think I have some other things going on while I'm there. And then Budapest, I'm wearing like jeans, sweater, but I want to look cute.
So when you pack for a trip, like I'm curious, I have a couple questions, but like, are you an overpacker?
Oh yeah.
So you even because you really do travel a lot. So like, do you find you still overpack, or do you feel like you? I also have noticed, like, I used to be an overpacker, and then I got married, and my husband was like, Brooke, you can't. I'm totally exaggerating here, but just like I feel like it was. Men do not overpack at all.
Oh, no.
So then I was like, oh my gosh, I need to cut back when I'm packing. But then I noticed I was underpacking, which is actually worse than overpacking because then I feel unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, I've noticed like there's almost
a happy medium.
Yes, there's a sweet spot to overpacking. So do you feel like that's what you do? Or I don't know, like do you have a good process? Like, give us your tips.
Yes. Okay, I will. And I also will make a comment on that too. I've had a lot of people who are like, you pack so much. Like, I'll pack a suitcase, a carry-on, and a backpack for my bigger trips, not all the trips.
You go to places for kind of a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I've also overpacked for shorter distance, but then it's like packing for like multiple things that go on. Sure. So I would say this past trip to Cabo, I packed so well. Like I wore most of my stuff. I did pack a couple pair of extra shorts and tops, but I was determined to not have people like, oh, you overpacked.
So
because
what
I
do
get
you
that.
think you did that made you pack well?
So I planned out my outfits. So I plan out my outfits for each day.
In advance.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've laid them out. I'm like, okay, this top goes with these jeans, and this goes with this, and this goes with this.
Now, quick interruption. Do you use travel cubes? Is
Yes.
That what you call it? Okay.
Yes.
How do you organize your travel cubes? Do you do it like is each of those packing cubes a day, or do you organize like all the shirts together, all the like
shirts?
I never know which
pants
ones to
and
do.
Pants. Well, so for this upcoming trip, I'm doing sweaters in one cube, jeans in another cube.
So you do it by item of clothing.
But then I have workout clothes all in one.
Oh, okay.
Because they're kind of just tank tops, shorts. You can kind of chuck it. So I'm doing the baths in Budapest. So like I'm putting a swimsuit in there, but I'm not wearing a swimsuit every day. I'm just gonna wear one that day. So that'll go with that. That's what I do. This past trip, I did like nicer clothes, like my work tops, and then my nicer dinners together. And then I did my gym clothes, and then I did my swimsuits in a cube. So
you
I kind of mix it up, but I'm
customize
trying
it per
to figure out. Yes.
Okay.
But I'm trying to be more efficient with it. And I'm trying to also pack less stuff because the more you bring, the more you can lose. Plus, I also know I'll do shopping there. But I also want to be prepared because I felt like when I was in Ireland 2 years ago, I did pack perfectly. I love how I packed. But there was one day I didn't wear enough layers. And we were doing like some like, not mountains, but like they're kind of mountains. We were like out on this like peninsula, and it was cold. And I still remember that feeling. So I want to make sure if I do anything like that, I have enough layers. So it's packing layers, and then plus I'll have stuff during the day, and then we'll have a dinner at night. So I'll change depending on what we're doing.
That is a lot.
Yes, but I'm doing more packing like that, but I don't unpack my toiletry bag. That thing is packed, and my makeup bag is packed.
Okay.
But then I have just like I now bring a straightener with me and a blow dryer with me. But overall, it's pretty efficient. And then I put my shoes in a carry-on plus a couple outfits just in case I've had experience where they've lost my luggage.
That's so smart.
I do that, and I always put an air tag. So
okay, so those are like a couple tips. So like always have an extra pair of clothes. I like how you included shoes because that's not what I would think of including.
Well, they're heavy. That's really my rationale.
Yeah, but that's honestly a good idea. And then, okay, so you always have an air tag. Are there any other tips?
I always bring. I'm one of those people. I'm a clean freak. So I have a baggie of Clorox wipes. I also buy those the green bag covers too. But I'll pack those just to clean stuff. So and I keep that in my backpack. So I have them for the plane for snacks. I have it for just like cleaning off. Because we'll do trips where we'll do day trips or go to dinner. So I'll bring a little fanny pack and I'll put a little hand sanitizer thing in there just because like you could touch a bunch of things before you eat your food. And then the hotel, just you never know how many people have touched that handle. So I like wipe those things down.
That's so smart.
But overall, those are my tips. But I would say just packing in advance is looking up where you're going. I look up where I'm going. I look up the weather. I look up like what outfits go well with it, and then I layer on that.
Okay.
So, and then I put it into cubes. I'll do a video on it. So
I would
yeah.
say we need to see some content from
Yes.
this.
But that's just some tips on traveling and just some planning stuff going on my end. How about you,
Love it.
Brooke?
So I don't
Baby coming.
necessarily, yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like, to give a little background, I don't travel nearly as much as you. So what I plan for is a little different. And even, so it's like my 4th year teaching. So even lesson planning, like I feel like I really have down to a science. But I feel like other background that's important. I love planning, just like you. Like I love planning. So just kind of taking like role of everything that I have going on in my life. So like I obviously have my job where I'm teaching high school math. I'm also in grad school. So
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's fully online and it's asynchronous, but that's something that I have to do every week. And then we have our podcast. And then I also have my side hustle, Hi Lovely. So I have my ministry for that. And I also tutor. I have about like 6 to 7 math students that I tutor each week. So sometimes I get a little overwhelmed, like, oh my gosh, like, how do I have time for all this? And so time management is so like, I feel like we need to do another episode like specifically on that.
We will.
You're
We
very
will.
good on
Yes.
that. But so like that really is time management and planning like just go hand in hand, right? So something I've noticed about me though is like, I wouldn't call myself a procrastinator. So I think this is why it works, but I'm not the best at planning. Okay, I'm going to do grad school this night and then I'm going to do this night. Like I almost have to like wait until I am in the mood to be productive.
Oh, I get what you mean.
Yeah, because I've
Unfortunately,
noticed.
I don't do that, but I get what you mean.
Now, and I can't do it for everything. So like there's just like what I've noticed, and this would be like a tip to listeners is I don't really try to force myself to be in a certain planning zone at any point. I have like just specific rules that I go by. So for example, here's what I mean. Like my first rule is I do school when I'm at school. And unless I have to, like unless I'm going to show up the next day to school and not have something prepared, I don't bring it home.
I'm so not that way. It's just my job is different, but I love that.
But that's what I do. Like unless it's going to get me into a huge bind tomorrow, I don't bring it home. So like I leave school at school. I just have to do that.
So you get all your grading done?
Most of the time.
Okay. What time do you leave school?
3:30.
But don't you teach from like 7 to 3:30 back to back?
So I have 2 prep periods. We also have a 45-minute lunch, so sometimes I will work during lunch.
Got it.
But here's why like it's not like I necessarily want to do that rule. I have to do that rule because I have 4 other things that I do outside of school.
No,
right?
I get it.
Like it's more just like this is just a necessity. So I like that's my one rule is like I pretty much try to leave school at school. My second rule is obviously there's like other things that you just plan around in general. So like I just always tutor. Like it's not like I'm just tutoring whenever I want. Like I have that pre-scheduled. But something that I noticed for me was like I would be a little overwhelmed if I tutored like more than 3 days a week. That's just something I learned about myself.
You know yourself, yes.
So I only tutor on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Sundays. And if maybe I'll make an exception, but like if someone asks for a Thursday, like I give myself the freedom
you gotta
to
have
say
the line.
no. Like
I like
just,
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then so like then my other thing that I've learned for myself is when I'm trying to figure out then when do I do my grad school? When do I work on my High Lovely stuff? When do I, film podcasts with you? Or even like now, like there's so much research that comes with trying to figure out how to be a mom and have a baby. So like when do I read my pregnancy book? When do I look up which birthing class to take and all that stuff? I've noticed that I can kind of just wait until I feel motivated to do that. Like I can't, if I like, the problem is like I just get tired after a full day of teaching or if I taught and then tutored. So like I used to be like, okay, every Monday and Tuesday night from this time to this time, I'm going to do grad school. And then I realized I hated it because like, honestly, Mondays are a really hard day to do grad school because you're, you just got off the weekend, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I share all of that to say part of like planning is personal. And I think it's personal because everybody has different priorities. Everybody has different plans and everybody has different like personalities on whether you procrastinate or not. So, for example, some people probably, maybe if you're in grad school and you procrastinate a lot, maybe you do need to be like, okay, no, every Monday night from 5 to 7, like that's when I do work. That's not good for me because then I'm going to be too stressed out on a Monday because if I'm not in the mood, I just am not as productive. So a takeaway for listeners would be part of your planning process, you need to figure out personally what works for you because what works for me probably doesn't work for you. Like you said, you like to take stuff home sometimes, you know?
Yes. Well, I'm going to add something in for this.
Yeah,
because
no,
I like
go
what you're saying. Well, one thing I would say is you're learning this with time too. And I think
my gosh,
we're
no,
all
for sure.
learning
This
with
took me
time.
forever to
And
figure out.
I also think it comes with like figuring out your 20s too.
Totally.
And what comes to. And for me right now, I'm talking about all this packing, but it's also because I'm on a stricter schedule, but I have procrastinated too. And I've learned from it. So I think it also comes with what you're interested in. There's times where I'll take work home, but other times where I'm like, I just don't feel like taking it home. So I'm listening to you right now. I'm like, I force myself also to be like more productive and get things done and stay focused on the task at hand. So then I don't have to take it home because I have all these other things I'm wanting to do.
Well, and I think part of it too, to your point, one, I've learned this throughout years. It also hasn't always been this way. This is just what has worked for me, like in my 20s post-grad. But like, I feel like a lot of this also is contingent on the life stage you're in right now.
Yeah.
So for example, like this is just the irony of life. I feel like I've finally figured out the way that like I work with time management and planning. And I guarantee you once I have a baby, once baby Maggie's here, I'm going to have to relearn a whole new schedule thing. You know what I mean?
Because you're adding you also have your husband's schedule in your schedule too. Totally. I currently do not have anyone's schedule in my schedule. It's my own schedule.
It totally took, then my schedule changed when, I was married. So that's actually a really good point where like, yeah, I'm probably going to have to relearn a whole system of what works for me then once I have a baby. So, but again, that's kind of like planning is personal because it is, everybody's got different life stages. And so it does take like, what works for you won't always work for you, but if you figure out what works for you for a certain time, you got to roll with it. Because, like, when you get a good system going, like, that is, like, magic, I feel like,
Oh, yeah. And I think it's knowing yourself. For me, I'm really trying to become a gym morning person. And I've said this in previous episodes. Really trying. And I think I will.
You're doing a good job.
No, I'm not doing in the mornings.
You don't think so?
No, I'm not doing the mornings.
No,
so I'm doing a great job, just not in the morning
participation thing.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like I do it in the evenings and it's working out well for me right now. I love it. But it's knowing myself right now. But I've also, just because I've been doing just like future ideas, future planning stuff, I know that I think when I like hopefully add someone future into my life in the future, like hopefully I do get married. And I think I would just change your priorities change based off who you're involved in, what you're interested in too at the time. So like this works well for me where I'm able to have like my quiet time in the morning, my planning, get to work, get it done. But then I also do other things in the morning and then instead of going to the gym and then I'll do the gym at night instead of doing whatever I do in the evening. So.
Well, honestly, kind of roll with that while you can because I feel like once you have other people in your life, then it like will make the morning more of a time where that should happen. But like if it works for you now.
Oh yeah. But like
have to be
days where I go to the Blues game or days I have birthday dinners, that's when I'm challenged. I'm like, this is what it's like. So then I'll do mornings when it's those days. So
yeah. No, that makes sense.
But anyways, Brooke, anything else you want to share or add in with your planning, lessons, high levelly?
Not really. I feel like that was kind of like a good summary for everything without going too in depth because I could talk about planning for hours, but I feel like that was a good summary. What about you?
I want to add on something because
just
in case it came across, I'm not sure if it did or not. I'm super grateful for what I've got going on. And I know you are too.
I feel like
I love it
for sure.
And so at times I know people could be listening and be like, "Wow, that's a lot going on." We're like, "Are you overwhelmed?" I love it, but also it's not like I'm packing 24/7. Yes, I'm not packing 24/7. It's just something like last night I was going to bed and I was like getting out my clothes for today, and right above this sweater was like something I'm going to take to Europe, and I was like, I'll just get this out while I'm at it, and then I'll do it. But it's not like I'm doing it all the time. But it's just I put some time in. But I'm excited for the things I do, and it just motivates me. Like I love doing things with my friends and I love like also just chores are a part of life. So it's not like we love our chores all the time, but like I look forward to the chores I do. So as a result, I make sure I just can get the things done so that way I can be present, which leads to Brooke, what are you motivated for this upcoming week?
I guess this kind of goes with our planning episode. So I just finished, like I said, my previous High Lovely class for 5th and 6th grade girls. And so I don't really have anything else planned, like big for High Lovely right now. So I'm motivated to like really kind of like try to pray more about and just really be creative. Oh, so I'll kind of steal your thing of trying to think what should my next thing be. So I mean, it's so fun, like having my own little side business because I get to make all the decisions. But then it's also sometimes like, oh shoot, I need to figure out what I'm doing next. So I feel like I'm in like a kind of planning stage. But I've honestly been thinking about it for a while, but I'm just a little hesitant on what my next move is and what the Lord wants me to do next with it because Maggie is coming in June. So, I don't know. I feel like last year when I was planning stuff, like anytime I had an idea, I was just rolling with it because like I had really, why not? But now I'm kind of like, I'm floating around the idea of doing an event with my mom in like April or May. But then I'm like, well, do I want to do an event when I'm like 8 or 9 months pregnant? So anyway, I'm motivated to just kind of see where God is taking it. And it's also, I just love planning for High Lovely stuff just because it really, I don't know, it brings me a lot of joy doing stuff through that. So I'm just excited to see. And if the Lord wants me to kind of take a pause and just focus on being a future mother right now, that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm just excited to see what kind of comes next with that.
Awesome. And you know what? Your prayers will be answered. They always are, just in time.
For
So,
sure.
Yeah. For me, I'm just motivated for this upcoming week is to be present in the busyness. To tie into what we were talking about this episode, I would say there's a lot going on. I love it. And there's also more coming, like baby showers and wedding showers. Like I'm so excited for you and a couple other friends. But with all of that, just to be present during it because there's just a lot to be grateful for and a lot to enjoy and just taking it one step at a time. So I hope that inspires some people just, hey, just if you're taking it one day at a time, that's great. And just be like grateful in the moment.
Yeah.
So that's my focus for this week.
Oh, that's really good. I like that. I might steal that too. Day at a time.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks for listening in.
Sweet. And okay, how long was that? Oh, that wasn't that long at all. That was actually great.